Hello everyone and welcome to our new video. In this video, we are going to discuss about the weaknesses of the gRPC. This is the part 5. If you haven't watched the previous 4 parts, I will suggest you to first go through them, in which we have discussed about the gRPC introduction, basics of gRPC, architecture of gRPC, and advantages of gRPC framework. Now we are going to discuss about the weaknesses of gRPC and the limitations that we see in the gRPC. So let's get started. Now, if you look at the gRPC, it is relatively new. It was introduced in 2015 by Google, and that's why it has a limited browser support. Now, since the gRPC is heavily using the HTTP2 protocol, which is like built into the gRPC, and for all the purpose it uses HTTP2, it is impossible to call a gRPC service from a web server directly. This is because of the reason that no modern browser provides the control over the needed web requests to support the gRPC client. Therefore, a proxy layer for the gRPC web are required to perform the convergence between the HTTP 1.1 and the HTTP2 protocol. Now, this is the current scenario of how this is implemented because of the limitations of the browser, which has not been upgraded to the HTTP2. But going ahead, this limitation might overcome once the browsers adopt the HTTP2 protocol as well. But currently still you can make it work using a proxy layer, and there would be the conversion between the HTTP2 and HTTP 1.1, which is right now works like a limitation, but then still it has a lot of advantages to it. Next is the non-human readable format. Now, since the protobuf compresses the gRPC messages and converts it into a non-human readable format. Now, this can be of issue because then it's not in human readable, the troubleshooting and all becomes a little bit more complex. With this kind of setup, the compiler needs to have the message interface description in the file to deserialize correctly. So developer needs the additional tools like the gRPC command line tools to analyze the protobuf payloads on the wire and write the manual requests and perform the debugging. This is where you will be requiring the additional tools in order to debug, because of the way that the gRPC works. It converts it into the binary format, due to which it might not be, it's not not in a human readable format. It has its advantages that it requires less CPU, but then the disadvantages are that it's not in human readable format. That's why you require additional tools. Next is the no edge caching. So since the HTTP supports the mediators of the edge caching, gRPC calls use a post method. Now, which is a threat to the basically the API security. The responses can't be cached through the intermediaries. And moreover, the gRPC specification doesn't make any provision and even indicate the wish to change the semantics between the server and client. So this is one thing you need to consider, because definitely because it's using the post request, so you will not be able to use the CDNs, and you cannot use the edge caching, which becomes essential if you are having the high traffic. Although the gRPC itself can handle the multiple requests in a single request, it can take a lot of connections, but then uh, this will be impacting the like the API, because the CDNs are now being widely used. So this is something again which you need to consider, and making the post requests, right, which is considered to be essential for the API security. So you need to have those kind of checks in place for making it more safer to use. Next is the steeper learning curve. Many teams find the gRPC challenging to learn, get familiar with the protobuf, and looks for the tools to deal with the HTTP2 friction. So this is another thing that you will be going, the teams which are working right now, they have to go through a lot of learning and the revamp, because the way that the gRPC is written of the to make it more faster has the high learning curve and adoption rate, and the tools and all are basically being developed. This is going to further reduce as more and more people try to adopt it. But these are the weaknesses which can make the adopting of the gRPCs for running your application limited in that sense. So this brings us to the main and the final question: should we use the gRPC instead of the REST? Now, if you look at the gRPC technology, it is definitely a promising technology which has gained a lot of consideration over the footprint of the API area. And however, it is neither a replacement of the REST nor it is better and developed with the help of the APIs. Basically, the gRPC, you need to think the gRPC as an alternative, which could be like useful in a certain scenarios where the large scale microservices connections has to be handled, the real time communication has to be handled, which requires low power, low bandwidth systems and multi-language environments. In all these cases, you will find that gRPC would be helpful. But here the catch is that it should be large scale implementation and a lot of requests should be received. So again, you should consider as an alternative with along with the current API development that we are frameworks that we are having. But then this is definitely having the advantage. Unlike the REST, gRPC makes a most of HTTP2 with multiplex streaming, which allows both the sides communication and binary protocol framing. Now, in addition, it offers performance advantages through the protobuf messages structure and feature built-in code generation capabilities, so which enables the multilingual environment definitely. And all these feature makes the gRPC a good API architecture style. However, one major downside of the gRPC is that it has a very low browser support, so definitely you will have to use the you will be using the proxy for making it work, and there will be an HTTP 2 to HTTP 1.1 conversion which is currently supported by the browser, and this basically limiting to your internal system. So REST is supported by all the browser. Moreover, it has wider adoption and is an excellent choice for a company that wants to use a proven format, since gRPC is relatively new. So it does comes with the advantages, but then it is relatively new, so there is still a lot of development which needs to be done in the gRPC. In conclusion, is selecting the right API format for your enterprise architecture is a major decision, highly dependent on your use case demand. So gRPC is not that it will fit to all everyone's use cases, but there are definitely some niche use cases for the gRPC where definitely it will be holding the advantages over the REST. But then REST is like a genuine choice. If you are not facing the issues in those senses, then you can go ahead with the REST and make best use of it. So that's all that we have for the gRPC, and we have covered the basic understanding from the gRPC, and you will be able to relate with the Kubernetes updates which we will be bringing in the later videos. And we will be seeing the changes because Kubernetes is heavily working on the adoption of the gRPC, and they are basically bringing many changes in the version 2.3 and 2.4. They have made multiple changes to support the gRPC applications. Okay, so that we will be bringing tomorrow. So if you have not gone through if you have not subscribed to our channels yet, please do subscribe to our channel to get these videos directly to your inbox. That's all for today, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Thank you. This is Ankit Mittal signing off.